Hey guys, Omaha here. Today I'm going to be going over all of the Abjuration spells in Baldur's Gate 3 and showing you both what they look like and what their effects are. So to start us off, we have our first cantrip, and this is Blade Ward. Take only half the damage from bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing attacks. This will last 2 turns, and you can only cast it on yourself. So there, my page shows I have resistance to those 3. I'll end my turn here. Attack. There, did 4 damage. So he actually rolled a 6 on damage, plus 2 from dexterity, so it's 8, and then it subtracted half, so 4 damage total. All right, for our second cantrip, we have Resistance. Make a target more resistant to spell effects and conditions. It receives a plus 1d4 bonus to saving throws, and a saving throw is what determines whether a target resists a spell or condition. This will last 10 turns. It's got a range of melee, and it's a concentration spell, so if I'm hit, there's a chance of my concentration breaking, and that ends the effect. Go to Gale here, and we'll use Thunder Wave. This is a Constitution saving throw. So he has a spell difficulty class of 12, so I'm gonna have to roll higher than 12 to resist, and my Constitution's 13, so I only have a plus 1 to Constitution checks. So here we go. Saving throw successful. So I failed the saving throw against Thunderwave itself. Oh, the concentration saving throw is the one I passed. Okay, so I failed the saving throw against Thunderwave here. I only rolled a 3, and I got plus 2 from resistance, and then plus 1 from my constitution, and that gave me 6. So 6 isn't higher than 13, that's why I wasn't saved. And then for my concentration on my resistance spell that I cast, I passed the saving throw. I rolled a 17, and I got plus 4 from resistance, and then plus 1 from constitution. That gave me 22. I had to roll against a 10 to keep my concentration up. Okay, now we're moving on to our level 1 spells, and for the first one we have Armor of Agathes. Gain 5 temporary hit points and deal 5 cold damage to any creature that hits you with a melee attack. So this effect will last until a long rest, and you can only have the temporary hit points from one source. The upcasting will give you an additional 5 temporary hit points and deal an additional 5 cold damage per level. So this actually scales really well. Level 2 you'll do 10 and 10, 15 and 15, all the way up till 30 and 30. And since that cold damage lasts until the temporary hit points are gone, if you can get multiple uses out of it, it's very efficient. So I'm gonna upcast it to level 6 just to show you how strong it is, because it's pretty strong. So there, I've got 30 temporary hit points. So I'll just end my turn here. These melee guys. So he swings, he takes 30. Here's another melee hit. Took 12 damage and he took 30. So in the higher level play, you're probably gonna get at most 2 uses out of it, but that's still 60 damage from one spell. So that's pretty decent. And then you get the temporary hit points as well out of it. Next up, we have Mage Armor. Protect a target from attacks. Increase its armor class to 13, plus its dexterity modifier. And that'll last until a long rest. And the target cannot be wearing armor for this to work. Upcasting doesn't do anything extra. So here, Astarion has 13 armor class already, and he has a dexterity of 17, so he'll get a plus 3. So now his armor class is 16 because of that plus 3. And then someone like Gale, he has an armor class of 11 already, and he gets a plus 1. So that increases it to 13, and it adds the plus 1, so he's at 14. After that, we have Protection from Evil and Good. Protect an ally against the attacks and powers of aberrations, celestials, elementals, fae, fiends, and undead. The target can't be charmed, frightened, or possessed by them, and when these creatures attack it, they have disadvantage, so that's going to roll 2 dice and use the lower value. This effect's going to last until a long rest, or until your concentration breaks, because it's a concentration spell. Also, if you upcast this spell, it doesn't give you any additional benefits. And again, they have disadvantage, so there's a chance they'll still hit you, but they're rolling 2 dice using the lower value, so it's a lot harder for them to hit you. And there, so you missed. Okay, our next spell is Sanctuary. You or an ally cannot be targeted until you attack or harm a creature. You can still take damage from area spells. The second paragraph just says the same thing again, so I'm not sure why it's there. But this will last 10 turns, and it's a bonus action. If the enemy wanted to use like a bow shot against me, or just a normal melee swing, or even like a single target spell like Sacred Flame, they wouldn't be able to target me at all. But if they wanted to use an area of effect spell like Fireball or Flame Strike, so that's AoE, that would still be able to damage you. And then if you upcast this, it doesn't do anything extra for you, so you just want to use a level 1 if possible. So I'll start this fight here, and these guys won't be able to do anything to me. I don't think they have any AoE attacks at all. You also won't be able to be targeted by opportunity attacks, so you can use it to get away. Next up, we have Shield. This is actually a reaction, so you're not going to be actively casting it in combat. When you're about to be hit by an enemy, increase your armor class by 5. That'll make you harder to hit, and you take no damage from Magic Missile. That'll last until the start of your next turn, so 1 turn. And it uses a level 1 spell slot. You can upcast it to all the way up to 6. There's no reason to, though. It's not going to give you a benefit, but if you're out of level 1 spell slots and you really need this, then I guess go ahead and use it at a higher level. This spell's super clutch on the last boss fight. I'm not going to ruin it for you, but there is a lot of Magic Missile going on in that, so good to bring that. End my turn. And there it pops up, so he's about to hit me. And again, you can choose 1 through 6 if you have them all checked to ask. You always want to use level 1 if you can. there made a miss. It won't always make a miss, but it does increase your armor class by 5, so way higher chance to miss. Our last level 1 spell is Shield of Faith. Protect a creature from attacks, increase its armor class by 2. This lasts until a long rest, and it's a concentration spell, so you have a chance of losing it if you're hit, and it's a bonus action. Upcasting won't do anything extra for you. Here's my armor class before. It's a 13. Pop that on myself. And now I'm at 15. There's also 2 other variants of this granted from items. They do the exact same thing. There's Tears Protection, which is the exact same as this, and then there's Shar's Aegis, which is the same, except I think you can only target yourself with it. All right, now we're moving on to our level 2 spells, and our first one is Aid. Heal your allies and increase their hit point maximum by 5 hit points. This lasts until a long rest, and you can upcast it to increase it by 5 hit points per level. So at level 6, it's 25 healing. Here, Shadowheart has 11 HP, so I'll just show you this. I'll just do 5. I have 99 hit points as my max. So there she was healed by the 5 hit points and increased her max HP by 5 hit points as well. And then mine went from 99 to 104. So this is the type of spell you're going to want to just cast immediately after a long rest for your whole party, or you can have somebody at party designated to do that. But yeah, pretty good spell to upcast. Our next spell is Arcane Lock. Close a door or container with a magical lock. It can no longer be lockpicked or opened with the spell Knock. This lasts 10 turns, and it's got a range of melee. Upcasting doesn't do anything extra, so you can like lock a crate. I don't know why you would, but I mean, yeah, you can do that. And it works on doors too. So the only application I can see for this spell, possibly, and if you guys have any other ideas, let me know down in the comments. I'd actually love to hear it. But luring like half of an enemy force into a room and then locking them in there for 10 turns so you can focus down the other half. That's probably the only application I can see for it. Also, if you've got that one friend that likes to loot every single container before you even get to see what's inside of it, you can just use this on that and make them wait 10 turns. Highly recommend, because I definitely have a friend that does that. Lesser Restoration is our next spell. Cure a creature from disease, poison, paralysis, or blindness. It's got a range of melee. So here, Shadowheart's affected by poison. Just cast that. Upcasting doesn't do anything extra for you. And she is recovered. Next up, we have Pass Without Trace. Call forth a veil of shadows and silence that gives you and all nearby companions a +10 bonus to stealth checks. So this lasts until a long rest or until your concentration breaks. Upcasting won't do anything extra for you. So you cast that. And there's a little AoE around you can kind of see from that effect on the ground. And you'll see here, my stealth is +16. And then when I remove that, it goes back down to +6. Next up, we have Protection from Poison. Touch a creature to neutralize all poisons affecting it and grant it protection against poisonous influences. So this will give you advantage on saving throws against being poisoned. Rolls 2 dice and uses the higher value. And resistance to poison damage. So you only take half damage from poison attacks. And that'll last until a long rest. It's not a concentration spell. Upcasting doesn't do anything extra. Here's Shadowheart. She's already poisoned, so that's going to remove it. And then she'll have that effect until the next long rest. All right, our last level 2 spell is Warding Bond. Ward an ally. They gain resistance to all damage and a +1 bonus to their armor class and saving throws. So they're gonna take half damage from everything, and they're a little harder to hit and be affected by spells. Each time the ally takes damage, you take the same amount of damage. So how that works, basically, the enemy's still gonna be doing the normal amount of damage. Since they're doing half to your ally, and then you're taking the same amount, it's basically they're doing full damage still, just split across 2 people. So this lasts until a long rest, concentration free, and upcasting does not grant any additional benefits. And then I'll end my turn. So she has 17 health currently. He attacked her and did 3, and I took 3 as well. All right, to start off our level 3 spells, we have Beacon of Hope. Your allies will regain the maximum hit points possible when healed. They also gain advantage on wisdom saving throws and death saving throws. So this will last 10 turns or until your concentration breaks. So here's the range of that. Upcasting doesn't provide anything extra for you. And now we have that effect for 10 turns. So now if she heals, it says 4 to 11. It'll do 11 every time because it does the maximum amount. There's 11. But for another healing spell, Healing Word, that's 4 to 7. So it's going to do 7. So it just maximizes the healing you're getting from your healing spells. And then you'll also have advantage on death saving throws. So when it's rolling this every turn, she'll have advantage rolling 2 dice and using the higher value. And then a good example of a wisdom saving throw would be like the command spell. See down here, it says wisdom save. Okay, our next level 3 spell is Counter Spell. So this is a reaction. Try to stop a spell being cast. If it is a higher level than the spell slot you used to counter spell, you must make a check using your spell casting ability to prevent it. Check's difficulty is equal to 10 plus the level of the spell you're trying to counter. Okay, so it's kind of confusing. I'll try to explain it a little bit better. So if I go to my reactions page here, you'll see that there's Counterspell 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's how you upcast it. Basically, if the enemy casts a level 4 spell and you counter it with a level 4 or higher counter spell, it's guaranteed to counter the spell. You wouldn't want to use a higher one, obviously. You'd want to use a 4 to counter a 4. But if they use a level 5 spell and you counter it with a 3 or a 4, basically how it's going to work is you're going to roll a 1d20, so a 20-sided die, and it's going to add your spell casting modifier to that. So for me right now with an intelligence of 17, that'd be a +3, and I'm a wizard, so that's why intelligence is my spell casting ability. So it'd add +3 to a 1d20, and the number I'd have to roll or match is going to be 10 plus the level of the spell. So they use a level 5 spell, I'm countering with a level 3. Basically I have to roll a 10 plus a 5, so I'm gonna have to roll 15 or higher. So again, that's 1d20 plus 3, and then that has to be 15 or higher. That might still be a little bit confusing, but hopefully that made sense. So if they're using a level 5 spell, there's not really any reason to use a level 4 to counter spell it. You might as well just use the 3 because it's the same odds of countering the spell. But anyways, I highly recommend getting the spell anytime you're able to with whatever classes offer it. It's an amazing spell. It's definitely S tier. So here's what it looks like. I'll show it to you guys. So he casts Ray of Sickness. That's just a level 1 spell, so I'm going to counter with the lowest possible, level 3. It's going to be guaranteed. So there, he can't do anything. And the great thing about this spell is I'm basically taking away his whole turn just for a reaction. And it also has infinite range, and you don't have to have line of sight. I think in actual D&D, there's like a certain range to it, and you have to have line of sight. In this game, there's no range at all, and you don't have to have line of sight. And it also works against like Misty Step or other non-damaging spells too. It works against any spells. Next up, we have Glyph of Warding. Inscribe a circle of arcane glyphs on the ground. When stepped on by an enemy, the selected magical effect will trigger. You can only have one of these glyphs active at a time, and it uses a dexterity saving throw. So there are damaging ones and non-damaging ones. For the damaging ones, on a save, they'll take half damage. And for the non-damaging ones, like sleep or detonation, they just won't be affected. So all of these glyphs last until a long rest. So they're a great way to set up before a fight, just make a trap somewhere. And for the damaging ones, upcasting will add 1 to 8 extra damage per level. So at level 6 or level 3 it'll go from 5 to 40, to level 6 it'll be 8 to 64 damage. And for the non-damaging ones, upcasting doesn't provide any additional benefit. So first we've got acid. This does 5 to 40 acid damage. I'll just cast it here so you can see it. So that's how big it is. And my turn here. And there he took 19 acid damage. The next one is cold. This one does 5 to 40 cold damage. So I'll just cast it directly on him. Then you've got detonation. So this one pushes them back when they went over it. So I'll have them run into that. And they get yeeted pretty far. Then we've got fire. Does 5 to 40 fire damage. You got lightning for 5 to 40 lightning damage. You got sleep, which puts enemies to sleep when they step on it. And that puts them to sleep for 2 turns. And then lastly, you have thunder, which does 5 to 40 thunder damage. Protection from energy is up next. Touch a creature to grant it resistance to acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage. This is a concentration spell. So again, if you get hit, there's a chance of the spell effect ending. And the resistance will make you take half damage from that associated damage type. Upcasting doesn't do anything extra for you. And again, there's acid, cold, fire, lightning, and thunder. So here I'll just use cold. And then I have that until long rest or until my concentration breaks. And there's my resistance. Our last one for level 3 is remove curse. Touch a creature or object to remove all curses and hexes affecting it. So upcasting doesn't do anything extra. Here I've got hexed charisma until long rest. And I can just use remove curse to get rid of that. All right, our first level 4 spell is Banishment. Temporarily banish your target to another plane of existence. So when they're banished, they can't be targeted, they can't move or take actions, bonus actions, or reactions. They're basically just out of the fight for 2 whole turns. And this is a concentration spell as well. Now, you can upcast this, and every level of upcast adds an additional target. So at level 6, you can banish up to 3 targets. I'll just do level 1 for now on the skeleton. And now he's banished for 2 turns. And then he's back. So it's great if you want to remove a tough enemy from a fight and then focus down all the weaker enemies. Next up, we have Death Ward. Protect a creature from death. The next time damage would reduce it to 0 hit points. It remains conscious with 1 hit point left. This is basically the same as the half orc's racial ability. Upcasting doesn't do anything extra for you either. So I'll just cast this here on Shadowheart. And that condition's gonna last until a long rest. So here she's got 1 hit point left. If I attack her, There she goes down and gets back up with 1 hit point, and then she loses the condition. Next up is freedom of movement. Snap an ally out of any stun. Difficult terrain can't slow them down, and they can't be magically paralyzed or restrained. If the target is restrained by non-magical means, it can spend 5 feet of movement speed to free itself. So this will last till a long rest, and upcasting doesn't do anything extra for you. Here's Shadowheart stunned, so that's going to remove the stun immediately and give her the condition freedom of movement until the next long rest. So here, you see I've got these black tentacles, and she can just walk across it without being slowed. Alright, our last one for level 4 is Stone Skin. Turn a creature's flesh hard as stone. It takes only half the damage of all non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage until the next long rest, and it's a concentration spell as well. So if you use this on yourself and you get hit, there's a chance of it going away. But other than that, it's going to the long rest. So end my turn here. There, he hit me for 4 damage. Look at the combat log. See, he actually rolled a 6 on damage, plus 2 from dexterity modifier, which is 8, and then it halved it. All right, moving on to our level 5 spells. Our first one is Banishing Smite. And the weird thing about this spell is there's only one way to get it in this game, and that's playing as a bard and getting to level 10. You have to use your magical secret on it. That is the only way you can get this spell. So what it does, it takes your existing weapon damage, so 1d4 plus 2, because I have a little dagger that does that, and adds 5 to 50 force damage on top of that. It also possibly banishes your target to another plane of existence, so it's like the banishing spell we went over earlier, and it banishes them for 2 turns. If they have more than 50 hit points, they can't be banished, and then your concentration will keep them banished. So let's use it on the skeleton here. Upcasting doesn't do anything extra for you either. And then if you miss, you don't lose your level 5 spell slot. All you use up is your action. If you do hit, you're going to use up your action, your bonus action, and a level 5 spell slot. But if you just miss like I just did there, all it's going to use is your action. Another way to look at this spell is if the target has more than 50 hit points, you're basically just getting a lot more damage on your attack. If they have less than 50 hit points, you're either going to one-shot them or they're going to be banished for 2 turns. So I'll try the ranged version on him now. Next up, we have Dispel Evil and Good. Aberrations, Celestials, Elementals, Fae, Fiends, and Undead have disadvantage on attack rolls against you. You can also break enchantments that charm, frighten, or possess allies. So this will keep going on for 10 turns, and it's a concentration spell. Now you're probably wondering, oh, that sounds the same as Protection from Evil and Good. It's a little bit different. It's honestly not much better, but Protection from Evil and Good you cast beforehand, and they won't be able to be charmed, frightened, or possessed, and you're going to use that on just your ally or yourself. This one, you're casting it on yourself. There's no benefit to upcasting, by the way. And then you have the effect of the enemies having disadvantage on attack rolls against you for that 10 turns. And then you'll get a new action over here on the right where you Dispel Evil and Good, break enchantment that you can use every turn for 10 turns. And that's going to remove those effects on allies. So again, Protection from Evil and Good, you're casting beforehand on one ally or yourself, and that'll protect you from those things and give them disadvantage. This one, you're casting it on yourself. It's giving you the disadvantage for 10 turns, and then you can break the enchantments if they do the enchantments on your allies. Next up is Greater Restoration. Touch a creature and negate any charm, petrification, stun, or curse afflicting it. A little bit different than Lesser Restoration. That one works on diseases and paralysis and blindness and poison. This one's basically like Remove Curse, where you can remove curses and hexes, and it's kind of combined with Break Enchantment, where you can remove charmed and stuff. Upcasting it won't do anything extra for you either. Alright, our last level 5 spell is Planar Binding. Target an otherworldly creature and attach its consciousness to your own. It will follow and fight for you as an ally for 10 turns. The target has to be Celestial, an Elemental, a Fae, or a Fiend, and this is a concentration spell. So if you get hit, there's a chance of him turning back against you. So I'm going to try it against this Akabi, Destroyer of Planes. He is an Elemental, and there is no benefit to upcasting this. So now he's following and fighting for me for 10 turns. Alright, our last Abjuration spell is Globe of Invulnerability, and this is a level 6 spell. Create a barrier that makes creatures and objects inside it immune to all damage. This will last for 3 turns, and it's a concentration spell. But if you use this thing correctly, you won't be getting hit anyways, so you'll be able to keep it up for the full 3 turns. Now this spell is probably the most efficient use of a level 6 spell slot in the entire game. So there I cast it, and my turn here. Can't do anything at all unless he's inside the dome with me. Now I think you can still be afflicted with status effects, but you won't take any damage from anything at all. I don't think I can overstate how good this spell is. It's definitely a must-take in my opinion if you have the option. Just because you get so much value out of it. You can keep your whole party alive for 3 whole turns without taking any damage. And you can keep just dishing out damage. Well, that was a concentration spell, so I just broke it, but you get the idea. And that is all the Abjuration spells in Baldur's Gate 3. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to check out my other spell guide videos. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.